Great information. And today, as we think about Houston, this dynamic, very unique city on the planet, we have Ralph Bivins. He is the editor of Realty News Report, formerly with the Houston Chronicle for about 17 years. He knows all about Houston real estate. He's on it day and night. RealtyNewsReport.com is where you'll find all that great information. In addition, yes, there's more. He has a new book called Houston 2020, America's Boomtown, an extreme close-up. Ladies and gentlemen, Ralph Bivins. Hey, Ralph.
Good morning, Bill.
Super awesome to see you. You know Houston real estate. You've been a journalist for, over 3 decades or so?
A long time, yeah.
A long time. So let's first tell people Realty News Report, because you have current information developing all the time and a great website, realtynewsreport.com. So let's tell them about that first.
Thank you, Bill. It's Realty News Report is we run it lean, but we get a lot of information from everywhere, from national sources, local sources, deals, people buying things, selling things, building things. And so we try to stay on top of it that way and have a lot of contacts with some of the biggest and largest companies around. And, we hear about things early, sometimes like new skyscraper going to be built in downtown Houston. Been able to keep up with that.
Indeed you are, because as you're mentioning transactions, it seems like with each one of your reports, one of the main things is you have transactions that are going to take place, sometimes name changes, things that have happened. So you really have your finger on the pulse. And as we think about Houston in general, from a real estate standpoint, commercial and residential, what is your perspective right now? It's an amazing time to be in Houston from that perspective. What do you think about when you see all the stuff going on, Ralph?
It's incredibly strong. And you wonder how long can it last, but it's incredibly strong, and we're waiting for it, for something to, can this keep going forever? Can you have a straight line just going up forever? No. Someday there's going to be, some year, we're going to have a little slide, I guess. But right now it's going really good in almost every sector. Housing's fantastic. Jobs are fantastic. Influx of people are coming in and to the city, and so we've got population growth, job growth, and that creates demand for real estate.
And it's interesting as you say that, as we look during just the course of, and I say just, these last 300 shows, which is about 5.67 years, but during that time, even from show number 1, as we've talked to real estate professionals, realtors, mortgage people, anyone related to real estate, it seems like that's been a current theme. The market is strong. Can it keep going? And like you're saying, it almost seems like a straight line going up, but somewhere perhaps it'll level off, take a dip. Who knows?
I think rates are low, mortgage rates are low. That's still good. There's the big things out there that, what could happen? Well, the stuff with China, the tariffs. I'm not a fan of the tariffs. I think they're hurting the customers. It's kind of, if you look at it from an economic standpoint, the people that buy stuff in other countries, they're not giving us the fuel we need to keep our economy going in America like it used to be. So there's a little bit of weakness out there, and we're hoping we can pass through that overseas impact without getting our whole economy kind of in a stumble. But it's okay for right now, and we just hope that the Federal Reserve will keep rates lower longer.
And we also hear that this is the 4th largest city ongoing, and we hear soon going to be the 3rd largest city. If you were to just itemize the things that you know about from Realty News Report and even the book that you've written, from your standpoint, why are people so attracted to this city?
We've always had the can-do spirit. Things happen here. There's no barriers to entry, and we're embrace people from other cultures. People that don't speak English can come here and feel like they can get here. They can start a business. And we attract entrepreneurial types. It's kind of in our DNA, I think, to have entrepreneurial type of people that come here, and many of them will, from another country, but they can start a business and they can grow it and hire people. And I think that kind of penetrates all the way down to the wage worker, down to, all the way through their whole culture. That acceptance means something for job growth and entrepreneurship, and that helps keeps the economy moving forward.
It really seems like it does. In addition, I think that one of the things that happens in any kind of market like that is someone gets here and they see that, they experience that, they get a job, they get a better job, and then they tell their friends in, I don't know, Pennsylvania. The next thing you know, here, let's get a U-Haul and go to Houston, Texas. Like you say in your book, America's boomtown, right?
Yeah, it's phenomenal, and the growth's not going to stop. I think we will catch Chicago at some point, and I don't know how many decades it could be. Could be 20 years, but we will be the third largest city in the nation.
And let's tell people a little bit more about Realty News Report. How often does this come out? People can go online. I was online this morning, and I love how it's archived. You can go back by year and by subject in a very easy way.
Anybody can go there. The site is open to anybody with an internet. If you realtynewsreport.com, updated daily events, transactions, notices of, or stories about people or places that are being built or changing or about to change. And we cover some other markets nearby too, Austin, Dallas, and really the Texas Triangle is kind of my primary target.
Give people an idea, if they haven't tuned in to the realtynewsreport.com, an example of maybe 2 or 3 articles that are in there right now that might be ones that you just put up.
We did report the tallest tower in Texas has just been sold. The 75-story building, it's on Texas Avenue. Pretty big deal.
That's a big sale.
Yeah, $600 and something million, we think. 627, I believe, is the right number. That's not confirmed. As in Texas, you don't have to disclose the sales price. That would make my job a lot easier if you did have to. But that's a huge deal. And I think Hines, the owner, who's the major commercial real estate player that built so many of the downtown skyscrapers and stuff, they bought that, and they're going to fix up the building, which is kind of happening a lot right now. That whole trend of these buildings built in the 80s, and there were a lot. Back in the 1980s, so much of our downtown got built because money was available, and the tax situation at that time was available. So that's another part of the trend. Old buildings built in the 80s have got to really do some major renovations. They got to bring in food courts. They've got to modernize these things because the companies want to be in buildings that appeal to the workforce, the millennials, and they don't want to, if that food court full of fast food, they want things like that. And if you don't have that, you're not going to be competitive. So as the new buildings are continuing to be built, they're being built slowly. If you don't come in and fix those older buildings, you're not going to be what's no longer be a Class A building is what it's called. Start sliding to Class B. You're not going to be able to get the big tenants and the big companies and the big rents.
Ellen, as you mentioned, downtown, that is going through a lot of changes. It would be interesting to see if we could look into the future 10, 20 years from now, what will Houston downtown look like?
That's a huge question. We can't be a donut. We don't want to be a donut like Detroit. You gotta have the healthy core. You gotta have a heart that's got a beat to it, and you don't want to lose all that billions and billions of dollars of taxable value. But there's a lot of good news about downtown and the pipeline. And the biggest thing is what's going to happen to the roadways around it. The Pierce Elevated is going to disappear. And that in terms of development and growth, and also that's going to kind of happen on the east side of downtown behind the convention center. That road is going to be depressed and covered with green space on top of road. So you have depressed road with a beautiful park on top. What is that? The big idea, unless we discuss this in the book. Okay, so you're kind of erasing the boundaries of what's downtown, what's the central business district. Those are being erased, and we're going to see downtown kind of spread. You're not going to be able to say, oh, I've just crossed over under the Pierce Elevated, and now I've moved from official downtown into midtown. I'm not going to, if you go to the east, you're not going to know exactly, well, I've kind of left downtown, I'm now going into Edo, which is what they call East Downtown. So this gives downtown a chance to spread and grow and make it more one place, and this is going to have long-term impact.
And your book is Houston 2020, America's Boom Town. So let's talk about the book a little bit, Ralph.
Sure.
It's a great book. I'm holding it up to the YouTube camera right now.
Thank you.
But let's tell people, first of all, what inspired you to write the book? How long did it take to write? Just curious about that. And let's talk about that content that's inside.
Took a couple of years. I was born here. This is my city, and I go through my career writing smaller people's things, and I thought this time to kind of put things together a little bit, do more of an overview of what's happening in my hometown and where is it going to go. Kind of been in my heart ever since I was a kid. The bucket list. I've got to write a book. And
you did, about something you love, no doubt. And in the book, you talk about downtown, but let's get out of downtown for a minute.
Sure.
I like Chapter 5, The Grand Parkway, America's Longest Loop. Let's talk a little bit about that. I like and we're talking about 99, right?
Yes, Highway 99.
And I haven't been all over 99, but my experiences with it so far, going from Katy to the Woodlands, it's been great. And Kingwood,
smooth,
super nice.
Opened up a lot of territory, hadn't it?
And it's opened up a lot of real estate opportunities to the various neighborhoods, especially on the west side, and I'm sure in other areas too. What do you say? Give us a few bullet points of what you talk about in the book of the 99 Grand Parkway.
Yeah, well, I think it made Cinco Ranch happen, and it made Katy come alive, for one thing. That first stretch there kind of proved it up, and you had Cinco Ranch, a 5,000-acre master plan community or something that's huge. And now you drive along it, and you've got, La Cantera and all these retail packed around there. It's really changed that. But it gave mobility for people to have affordable housing that they can, especially if you work in the energy corridor on the west side. So you can live in Cinco Ranch, get to the energy corridor, and now, as you say, we have this expansion going up of the recent expansion of the Grand Parkway comes around the north part of town. You can live in Katy and get to the big, huge Exxon headquarters, the 10 million square foot, 3 million square foot, 10,000 employees up there at 45 in the Grand Parkway. Exxon probably helped that happen. I don't know exactly how that happened, but they probably had some influence that we don't know about. But still, it's opened up a lot of land that nothing was going to happen for a while. And now you've got homes there, you got accessibility there, you got potential for growth there. And on the other hand, the critics would have a different story, and they say some of this land was prairie that was meant to be prairie, it was meant to be wetlands, it was meant to help drainage, I guess, be kind of a sponge, more or less, that would prevent water from coming down towards the main city of Houston, down Buffalo Bayou. And we look back and we see flooding happening in the inner part of Houston, and some people say, "Hey, we've kind of paved a lot of that out along the Grand Parkway. There's kind of been a lot of pavement going on there when you count sidewalks and roads and driveways, and you count rooftops, and you count parking lots in front of shopping centers. Things don't drain like they used to, and so now so there's two sides to it."
Opportunity and challenges.
Opportunity
right?
and challenges. There you go.
Well, you mentioned the energy corridor in Chapter 7. I like the way you put it, the marketing genius of the energy corridor. Give us an idea of what that is.
Well, actually, it's who. It's not what. It's more of a who. David Wolf. You drive out there, this guy bought a lot of land along on the Katy Freeway and was able to bring companies there. And he's now, approaching 80 years old. But and I'm really thinking of, but what a great name for this city, for this place. There are people all over the world. They're somewhere in the Middle East, in the oil community or whatever. They say, our office is in the energy corridor, and they know where it is.
They know what part of town.
Yes,
they can visualize it wherever they are.
I'm saying, what a brilliant name to come up with energy corridor that just, boom. It's the most famous submarket that there is in this town, and so David Wolf did that, and it really made it go. It gave it an identity. hundreds of energy companies and energy-related companies.
Well, Ralph, you send out, I know I get an email for Realty News Report. If someone wants to get on your mailing list for that to get these updates of the things that are happening, the breaking news in real estate, both commercial and otherwise, what should they do?
Just send us an email for people that want subscription, and just send us an email to Realty News Report at AOL. Try that at AOL.com, and we'll get that processed.
And, of course, the website is realtynewsreport.com.
Correct, yeah.
And let's say they want to get one of these books. Tremendous book. There's so many great chapters. You talk about the Galleria, the Soul of Houston, so many things. If they want to get the book, they can get it Amazon or anywhere, I guess.
Yeah, Amazon. Not every Barnes & Noble across the nation. You can get it at Barnes & Noble, some Barnes & Nobles, River Oaks Bookstore, an indie place that I like on Westheimer across from Lamar High School.
There you go.
So it's a good bookstore.
And the title is Houston 2020, appropriately named. Here we are. It's here 2020, America's Boomtown, in extreme close-up. The author is Ralph Bivins. You can find him at realtynewsreport.com. And, Ralph, before we close this segment, what else would you like people to know?
We'll be doing some book signings coming up. One at Boulevard Realty there in the Heights on November 14th. And so if you're in the Heights area, stop by and that evening, and we'll do a signing and give a few remarks. But I'm just honored to be on the 300th show.
We're glad to have you, Ralph. Yeah, 300. I don't know how that worked out, but it did. Houston, 300 shows. It's an exciting city. Ralph Bivins, realtynewsreport.com. Check him out. The book is Houston 2020. Ralph's coming back a little later in the show. Thank you, Ralph, and we're coming right back after these important words.